And the Shanghai Metals Exchange, which has increased over 200% in volume in the past several months, has now surpassed in trading volume the COMEX. So these little by little moments are becoming far more legitimate, and it baffles me how underestimating this is really, how the mainstream underestimates it, how Wall Street underestimates it or completely ignores it. I think this is a massive deal, a huge deal, and all you got to do is not listen to what people are saying, but do what the biggest money in the world is doing, those who know the playbook, and that is accumulating commodities, period. Selling treasuries, selling dollars, getting out of the way of what's coming and buying commodities, which have, as we know, no counterparty risk when held in your own possession.
AndySchectman, CEO of Miles Franklin, has highlighted a significant trend in the global silver market, mainly focusing on India's rapidly increasing silver imports. According to Schectman, India's silver imports are projected to double in 2024, with estimates suggesting imports could reach up to 7,000 tons. This dramatically increased from 4,554 tons in 2023 to 560 tons in 2022. This substantial increase in demand from India, the world's largest silver consumer, will likely support global silver prices, which are already trading near three-year highs. Official data from India's Ministry of Commerce and Industry corroborates this trend. In the first 2 months of 2024 alone, India imported 2,932 tons of silver, nearly surpassing the total imports for all of 2023, which stood at 3,625 tons. However, this rapid influx has temporarily saturated the Indian market, pushing domestic prices into a discount and causing banks to nearly halt imports in March, according to a Mumbai-based dealer with a private bullion importing bank. Schectman interprets these movements in the precious metals market as part of a broader economic shift. He observes that large investors are accumulating commodities while simultaneously divesting from treasuries and dollars, viewing this as preparation for anticipated economic changes. This silver trend aligns with a larger pattern of de-dollarization and diversification among emerging markets and nations in Asia and the Middle East. Central banks added a record amount of gold in the first half of 2024, the highest since the World Gold Council began tracking this data. This increase in gold reserves reflects growing global concerns over fiat currencies, particularly the US dollar, as nations seek to hedge against currency risks and US monetary policy. Make sure to tune in for our expert analysis. Don't miss out on future content. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay in the loop. Your support is greatly appreciated.
2024 will be another deficit, and they imagine 215 million ounce shortfall, second largest in more than 20 years, fourth year in a row of a structural deficit. Of course, the supply demand numbers do not put in military usage, and that's a big deal for me when we go back to the congressional hearings, Senate hearings, subcommittee hearings in the 40s that I've talked about, I've shown you, that talk about needing 200 million ounces of silver per year in the 40s. Well, we've talked at length about the need for silver and high-tech weaponry, and those supply-demand numbers that the Silver Institute publishes, right or wrong, will tell you there's a 215 million ounce deficit on the horizon for this year, the fourth year in a row, but they don't mention anything about military. So my guess is those numbers are much, much higher, and this is why you have 8 brain-dead banks holding the price of silver down. All right, now going to India, it was just reported August 23rd that India's silver imports are on course to nearly double this year, and they're going to double to, the country has already bought 2,295 tons compared to only 673. This was in February alone. In February, 1 month. And they published these numbers months after. In 1 month, they bought 2,295 tons in February. And that's up from 637 tons in January. So you're talking a 260% increase month over month. That's massive amount of silver. Putting that in perspective, okay? That amount of silver that they bought in 1 month is 70 million ounces more in silver than the U.S. Mint made in silver eagle coins over the past 3 years combined. So you got India importing more silver in 1 month than the U.S. Mint has made in eagles in 3 years combined. Think about that for a moment. They are estimating that upwards ends of 7,000 tons will be imported this year. And I mean, last year was 4,554 tons and 560 tons the year before. So 560 jumps up to 45.54, jumps up to 7,000. Their numbers are massive. And they've imported over 700 million ounces in the last few years. That's so much more than is on COMEX and LBMA combined for delivery. It's not even funny. And that's just what they tell us. And as I mentioned to you probably last week in an interview I did with Sean Kunkun from Dolly Varden, he says, look, Andy, China's flying all around Latin America and buying up all the doré and concentrate and shipping it back to China to refine it. How many people know that China is the second largest producer of silver in the world? And now buying concentrate and doré at up to twice what the West will pay for it, shipping it home and refining it, so it doesn't have the transparency or affect the price settlement the way that it would coming off of an exchange. You have these countries using the brain-dead Western suppression against us, draining the exchanges, making massive deliveries across the globe, and now even going disintermediating the whole system and going right to the miners and buying their doré. So it's a big deal. I mean, I don't know how much bigger of a deal than I can explain it than to say these countries are every bit as sophisticated or more so than the West. And in fact, they know what we're doing. And we've documented that on all sorts of things that they've said, like the head of the Shanghai Exchange in 2015 saying, when China is allowed to speak at the gold table, the real price will be observed. Or the Brics Grain Exchange saying we produce more grain than the West, but we can't control the price. It's done on COMEX. That will change now with the Brics Grain Exchange. They know what we're doing to the world's commodities. They know we're suppressing them. So instead of raising a fuss about it, they're just draining it and buying it everywhere and anywhere they can, even in unrefined form.
AndySchectman observes a growing trend of countries having to choose sides in an evolving global order. This observation aligns with the increasing prominence of the BRICS alliance and its upcoming 2024 summit. The BRICS 2024 summit, scheduled to take place in a month, is a landmark event. 54 nations are expected to attend. This expanded list of invitees underscores the growing influence and appeal of the BRICS economic alliance. While Schectman speculates about potential interest from countries like Japan and Australia in joining BRICS, it's important to note that this remains unconfirmed. The summit is anticipated to focus heavily on reducing U.S. dollar trade settlements within the group, which could significantly impact global finance. A critical development to watch is the potential debut of the BRICS Pay system at the summit. This blockchain-based payment system is being developed as an alternative to the West's SWIFT system, particularly for the Global South. If launched, it could represent a significant step in the de-dollarization trend that Schectman and others have noted. Let's get back to the interview.
Well, we know from the meeting in Novograd a few weeks ago that 59 countries have formally applied, and we don't know which ones they are. We have some ideas. But one thing that did just get publicized on Monday, Bloomberg said that Turkey has formally asked to join BRICS and would be the first NATO member to request membership in the BRICS bloc. Think about that for a moment. And this is a very, very big deal. In fact, I was talking with someone who is a former high-ranking military advisor who I've talked with at length before, and I asked him, do you think Turkey stays in NATO? And he said, no, I don't think so. And now this is supposition, but they asked to join the European Union and they were rejected. And so I think they have doubled down. They're the largest purchaser of gold this year. And in our previous interviews, we've talked about the role of gold in the BRICS, which is the only other tier one asset in the world, and the possibility, at least agreed in principle, of the new unit settlement currency, which will be 40% gold backed, held within the borders of the countries that possess the gold to make the new unit token. And so you see Turkey being the largest producer or the largest accumulator of gold this year, formally requesting admittance into BRICS as a NATO member. Sides are being drawn. Sides are being chosen. And, you got guys like Jim Willey, who admittingly, he will say things that I've never heard before. And sometimes they sound outlandish and very often they come true. So I'm not disparaging his sources, but a lot of the sources that he gets, I don't know where he gets some of the info he gets, but some of it's pretty amazing. And he's said things before, like Japan and countries like Australia have interests in joining the BRICS. Now, we don't know that to be official. Haven't heard about it, but there will come a point, then again, where sides must be chosen. And this is one of them, a NATO alliance member, a Western-friendly member. And you just saw it, two naval sailors were just, almost abducted in broad daylight in Turkey yesterday. It's a country that is not maybe as Western friendly as we would like to think, yet they are part of NATO. And for them to choose sides and openly apply to BRICS while massively accumulating gold will tell you, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. They are dropping the crumbs at your feet. I think they are tired of the West. When the European Union turned them down, they would rather stand on their own 2 feet and join a union like the BRICS that is not only cooperative rather than coercive, but that provides them opportunities not found in the Western alliances. So it's a big deal. It's a very big deal. We don't know if they've been approved or anything along those lines, just that they have formally applied. And that is somewhat of a, the first time we've seen a Western ally, a NATO member, throw their hat in the ring, and where that goes and who it incentivizes to also be courageous enough to throw their hat into the ring. From here, only time will tell. But as the Chinese curse goes, we are certainly living in interesting times, and this is one of the more interesting developments we've seen BRICS related in quite some time. Then again, our leaders have done more to destroy our image than any external foe could have ever done in the last several years. And it is a stunning turn of events. But much like everything that is too stupid to be stupid, it was incentivized by our actions and by our policy decisions and by our monetary decisions and all of the things that are incentivizing these countries to choose sides, to back away from the West. Here again, it's sad, but much like many of the things that are a shock to the system, this is no different.
As these developments unfold, they could have far-reaching implications for global finance, international trade, and geopolitical relationships. The potential success of initiatives like BRICS Pay could accelerate the de-dollarization trend and provide new options for countries looking to diversify their economic partnerships and financial systems. Share your perspective in the comment section. If the video resonates with you, join our community by subscribing to our channel and enabling notifications with the bell icon. Thank you for being a part of our community.